Critbalker, somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. This is the award-winning podcast, ParaReality.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for listening tonight. My name is Sandman, and I will be your guide through this strange realm of ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, aliens, conspiracy theories, and other unsolved mysteries that I like to call ParaReality. Hey, welcome, man, to the season 15 premiere.
Dang,
of the podcast.
season 15.
I know. You know, whenever I first started this podcast way back in 2004, I never thought that I'd still be sitting here behind the mic. You know, at first, when I first started this, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And if you listen to like the first season, it really shows. You know, but you know, the podcast did gain a little bit of success. It had some success, and you know, over the years, I've taken a few breaks from it here and there. I quote unquote retired for a couple of years, about 2.5 years, and I missed it, and you know, so I guess you could say I took a break, and there were times when I couldn't do as many podcast episodes as what I liked for one reason or the other. But, you know, every time that I wasn't doing it, I really missed it. And it's become such a big part of my life, even though I'll never be a big-time podcaster. You know, I really enjoy doing it. And I don't care that I'm not a big-time. I love doing it. And you know, I hope I'm going to be doing it for a long time. You know, there's been times, like I said, where for whatever reason, life gets in the way, and you can't do as many episodes as what you want. So there's a few seasons where I just did a handful of episodes, but really, I mean, I've been having a good time. I really like it.
It's a great time being on the mic and chatting with great people and people that, I mean, like we just met 2 years ago, but
yeah, I
mean, we've had a great time. So it's just really fun to do.
When you're on the podcast.
What's that?
I love it when you're on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, again, thanks for letting me join you.
Yeah, man. I had I've always wanted, you know, someone to come in and bounce some ideas off of everything, and it beats sitting here talking to yourself all the time.
It is tough doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get used to it, though.
Yeah.
So like I said, even though I'm probably never going to be the chances of me being a big time podcaster, 0, and I know that, but still I love doing it, and so I really hope that I'm going to be around for a long time. So season 15 premiere. Thanks for joining me for the season premiere.
Of course.
Couldn't think of a better way to bring it in.
Yeah, I actually don't think you mentioned that it was a season premiere. So when you said it, I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah, it's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. I had big aspirations for the season premiere, and I think we're going to pull it off.
I think so too.
I think things are going to be great.
Yeah.
And before we really get into the meat of the episode, the heart of everything, I have a big announcement about the podcast. Yeah, you know what it is.
I know what it is.
As we just talked about.
Yes.
So I am very pleased and very happy to announce that ParaReality is now a member of the Straight Up Strange podcast network. The Straight Up Strange network features a variety of podcasts from true crime and paranormal encounters to cryptozoological cases, historical mysteries, and scientific enigmas. Just a few of the podcasts in this network are, there's one that's called Into the Portal. There's another called Obscure Anomalies. There's the Oddball Aussie. There's a podcast called Vanished. And there's one called Hollow Sky. And those are just to name a few. There's well over 20 podcasts that's in this network. And I am very pleased that they invited me to join them. And I am super stoked at being a member of the Straight Up Strange family.
It's a great group.
Yeah, they've got some great podcast. I haven't listened, admittedly, to every podcast.
Yeah.
I'm slowly going through the roster and trying to listen to everybody so I can kind of get introduced to them. But if you're listening to this podcast tonight and you don't know about the Straight Up Strange family of podcasts, just go to straightupstrange.com to check out those podcasts that I just mentioned and a lot more. When it comes to strange stuff, nothing's off limits when you enter the world of Straight Up Strange. And speaking of the podcast with the Oddball Aussie, it's hosted by a dude named Oz.
Nice.
And he is going to be joining us a little bit later on this podcast. And we're gonna have a great time.
That's gonna be a good time. Yeah,
we're gonna do a panel. So once again, thank you to Straight Up Strange Podcast Network for inviting ParaReality. Myself and Eric are proud to be members of this family.
Indeed.
And I think this means a lot. I mean, this is a chance to network with podcasts who have similar content, and it expands the reach of the show by exposing it to a wider audience that might not have ever heard of ParaReality.
Yep.
And I'll also have the opportunity to appear on other podcasts in the network, and they can be a guest on mine, like Oz the Oddball Aussie is going to be today. So I'll have the potential to gain some sponsors, hopefully, for the podcast in the future, and the door's wide open, and the world is my oyster, Eric.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is.
So, once again, I want to thank Andrew McKay from Into the Portal. He is the founder of the Straight Up Strange Network, and I want to thank him for inviting me to be a part of this fantastic network of great podcasts. So I am super stoked for what the future holds for ParaReality. So, Eric.
What's up?
Tonight,
yes.
Season 15 premiere. We're going to have a roundtable discussion.
I love a roundtable.
I know.
Yes.
I wish everyone. I had a lot of people that was going to had more people that was going to come, but unfortunately, illness and stuff like that has taken a couple of people out.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be me and you, and we're going to have Oz join us via Skype here in just a little bit for this roundtable discussion. So I wanted to do this for the season 14 finale, but due to some last minute cancellations on that, I had to put it off until now. And I know everybody out there is wondering, what are you doing? What is this episode about?
What is this roundtable you speak
Yes,
of?
what is this roundtable discussion? Well, like I said, I wanted to do it for the season 14 finale. Put it off until the season 15 premiere. But so, Eric, most of the topics that we talk about here are they're kind of deep and more of a serious nature. They're kind of,
I would say, mostly. Yeah,
mostly. And I thought that just for once that I'd change it up a little bit and we'd have more of a lighthearted conversation. So I wanted to gather a panel of fellow podcasters and have like a roundtable discussion on the year 2020.
It's a good call.
Yeah. So was 2020 the victim of some sort of curse, or could there be somebody out there or a group of someones out there who are powerful enough to put a curse on the entire world for a whole year?
For a whole year.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight.
Okay.
Yeah. So, of course, dear listeners, to learn more, you're going to have to tune in, and find out. I had a little microphone hiss there. I'll fix that in post.
Oh, yeah. I just heard it.
Yeah. So, before we begin tonight's journey, though, let me tell you how you can contact us here at the podcast, because, as you know, there are a few different ways that you can go about it, and here they are. First of all, you can always email the podcast, sandman@parareality.com. That's sandman@parareality.com. That is the quickest and easiest way to contact me here on the podcast. Second of all, you can find me on Facebook page by going to facebook.com facebook.com/sandman.parareality. That is the Facebook group for the podcast. Also, you can follow my social media accounts on Twitter. A username is @ParaRealRadio. That's @ParaRealRadio on Twitter. And I now have an Instagram.
No, I saw
account.
that. Yes, congrats.
Yeah, this is the debut. I did it back at the first part of December. Haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
But yep, now we're debuting the Instagram account, which is the same as my my Twitter account, ParaRealRadio on Instagram. So Instagram, Twitter, you can find me @ParaRealRadio. You can always email the show, sandman@parareality.com, or go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/sandman.parareality. And you can always still call that studio line at 615-692-1170 and leave me a message. Just remember that if you decide to call the studio line and leave that message, that by doing so, you're giving me permission to air your comment or whatever back on the podcast. And if you don't want me to do that, you need to let me know somewhere in that message. I'm always looking for interesting stories for the podcast, or if you just got a comment that you want, like, hey, you suck, or this is the best podcast ever, or whatever, call it. Leave me a message. If you got a story that you want to tell, I had something strange happen to me and I just want to get it off my chest, but I don't really want to be on your podcast, but you want to tell the story, tell it. I got like a 3-minute limit on the voicemail, so if you run out of time, call back, pick up where you left off. But just remember, if there's anything on there you don't want me to play back on the air, you better let me know. So those are all the ways you can get in touch with me here on the show, and Eric as well, because I relay everything to Eric.
Definitely.
Eric
Always.
is all my shit.
Yep.
Eric gets it. Eric gets it too. So sandman@parareality.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/sandman.parareality. Instagram and Twitter @ParaRealRadio, or call that studio line 615-692-1170. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get on with this thing, Eric.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's bring in the third member of our panel, all the way from Australia. This is Oz, host of the Oddball Aussie podcast, a member of the Straight Up Strange family of podcasts. Oz, welcome to ParaReality, and thanks for being on, man.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Eric. Great to be here.
So tell everybody who listens to my show that may not have ever heard of your show, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do. Just introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, so I'm Oz Oddball. I just do a show on all things weird, from everything from cryptids, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, all that, sort of cover multiple different things. Do 2 shows a week normally. End of the year, sort of wrapping things up a bit. But I do a half-an-hour show. For me, it's a Monday. For you guys, I think it's a Sunday. And then I do a midweek show about Wednesday, Thursday, and it's an hour show. It's normally a big one. And the start of the week show is normally an urban legends or mythology type episode. So, you want me to give my details or?
Yeah. How do people listen to your show?
So the Facebook, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. That's just the Oddball Aussie podcast. Mm-hmm. The email address is theoddballaussie@hotmail.com. I'm trying to get a few more listener stories so I can I used to do listener stories, but then it's sort of quietened down a bit. So I'm trying to bring that back. And then I'm on Spotify, Stitcher, all the podcatchers, and planning on going into YouTube next year as well.
Sweet. You're like me. You're trying to be all over the place.
Yeah. It's sort of, I've sort of been creeping into it as I go. I've been going for about 2 years now.
All right.
Congratulations to you as well for season 14, I believe.
15.
15. Yeah. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's awesome.
I started back in 2004, and I've had some time off here and there, but all in total, this starts 15 seasons. I can't believe it. Doesn't seem like it. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, I was just listening to your recent episode, and you said like a season for you is like 11 months.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, whenever I first started doing this, there was no such thing as podcast. It was all internet radio, and I was doing on Live 365, and we just did it just all the time, And now that podcasting is the thing, people do seasons, and they'll do like 3 or 4 months or whatever. I don't know how you guys do it, but I just kept on just keeping on. I just go all the way, and I usually take December off. I'm like, screw it, I've done it all year. It's time for a break.
That's sort of what I do too. I don't think I really have seasons. I just keep plugging away. I like the main episodes I number, and every other episode I just call it something else. If I don't want to do a main episode, if I'm sort of short of time, I'll just chuck in a discussion episode where I might discuss, say, like I did one not long ago on Pharaohs with all the alien, with the Tic Tac UFO and all that.
Yeah.
And just did sort of a discussion type episode.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to do more panel stuff, like what I'm doing now. So that's
awesome.
That's my goal. Is I'm gonna get more panelists on the show and have more debates and stuff, because I like that.
Yeah. Well, next year, I'm looking at going more into conspiracy theory stuff. I haven't really touched that too much the last 2 years. So, I'm looking at going to a lot of, especially MK Ultra stuff. So, if you've got any conspiracy stuff coming up, any panels, I'd be more than happy to hop on and give my 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Hey, 2020 for me was the year of conspiracy theories. That's about all I did. Was conspiracy theories for 2020. Let me tell you, once you start going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, Eric can tell you,
there's too many roads you can go down. Yeah. Too many forks. Yeah, it's true.
It's there's so many out there. But yeah, once you start getting to conspiracy theories, man, I'm your guy. I'll talk to you about conspiracy theories all day long.
Well, because all you need is like a thread of truth. You just need like a little bit of truth, and then you can go where you must.
Behind every conspiracy theory is a grain of truth.
Yeah. Yep.
I found that actually today. Yesterday. Because here in Australia it's 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh God,
nice.
So early. So early.
I'm an early starter anyway, so it's all good. But I found that just doing a bit of research for today's show, and I was like, little grains of truth, and then it just leads down this rabbit hole, and I'm like, get out of that. Got to stay on track.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, when I definitely I never considered myself to be a conspiracy theorist, and then for whatever reason this year I just started doing a lot of conspiracy theory stuff, and now I'm a conspiracy theorist. So I'll get you back on, man. We'll do something together. Yeah. So
I think it's
go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say on a note on that. I think it's sort of it sucks a bit that it's sort of become such a bad word in culture at the moment. It's conspiracy theorists.
Yeah. Thanks.
It's really got a bad background, and it's like it doesn't need to be that way. I think a few people who are easy for the media to sort of twist and make look like idiots, they do that too, and then everyone else who is legitimate sort of gets put on the same bandwagon.
Yeah.
Yep.
It doesn't help when the leader of the free world is a conspiracy theorist and an idiot at the same time.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Conspiracy theories, there's nothing wrong with a good conspiracy theory because it sparks debate and it gets people to looking at the issues. And, there are some conspiracy theories that have been proven true, So,
Bay of Pigs, Gulf of Tonkin.
Yeah. And I tell you, my big conspiracy theory are chemtrails. And if you don't know what chemtrails are, you need to look it up.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been into it as much the last couple of years, but at one point in time, I was a big chemtrail researcher, and I've got a whole page on my website devoted to my chemtrail research. And
I'll have to check it out.
I think there's something to it. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, hey, I'm wrong. I'm not going to go kill myself because I was wrong, but I think there's something to it. Yeah.
No, I mean, you've only got to look at. So I've done a lot of research about conspiracy theories, but I've never had it on the show. But you've only got to look at stuff like what some of the stuff Monsanto and that did in Africa, and go, well, why couldn't that happen anywhere else in the world?
Yep, I've done it.
It's sort of like, because we're first world countries, we sort of have this armor. We sort of feel like, oh, that can't happen here. Yeah, it could probably happen over in Africa, but it's never going to happen here. Like, what's to stop things like that? Like,
yeah. I devoted a whole episode one time to the evil of Monsanto. As a matter of fact, that's what I called the episode, was the evil of Monsanto.
I remember that.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right,
so
cool.
I totally believe that if they do it in a third world country, they could just as easily do it here. For sure.
Yeah.
So, speaking of conspiracy theories and everything, what do you think about the possibility that the whole entire year of 2020 has had a curse placed on it? Do you think that's possible?
Well, I don't know. It feels like it. Though it's crazy because honestly, being in the west of Australia, I'm sort of we haven't had it here. That's the crazy thing. We have not had a single case. So if you ask someone down the main street, could this have all been a curse? Most of them will say they don't even believe it exists. Because it hasn't affected us. Like we barely have had, touch wood, we barely had any lockdowns or anything. But
that's great.
The idea of a curse, I mean, there's a few things you could really tie this to. The biggest one I thought that was interesting that popped up was the curse of the Pharaohs.
Oh,
have you heard anything about that recently?
Not recently.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'll let you expand on it. Yeah,
well, so this year, 59 human coffins were discovered, enclosed for more than 2,500 years. And they're being held in the capital, Cairo, in Egypt, capital of Egypt, Cairo. Mm-hmm. And they're from the Saqqara necropolis, and they're 59 human coffins, and they're all like they're not gold inlaid or anything, but they are all sarcophagus, and they've all been opened, and people are going, stop opening the coffins.
Yeah, I remember reading about that the first part of the year.
Well, yeah. Also, I believe it was a few years before World War II happened, and they had unearthed, I think it was King Tut's tomb, or don't quote me on who it was, but they had unearthed the tomb and they found this horn, and they played it on BBC radio, like for the whole of England to hear. And then just like a few years later, like World War II happened and the world broke out in war.
Yeah. Oops. Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's something to be said for the Egyptian curses and things like that. I mean, they put them on there for a reason. They put those hieroglyphs there for a reason. But it's interesting. I think even all the stories I've read about this have all played it down as do you believe in Hollywood myths? It's like, well, this is around before Hollywood.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, what do you got? What do you think?
I don't know about a curse, to be completely honest with you. I'm more of a globalist cabal control type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm actually big into the sort of Communist Party of China, the CCP, and their kind of grasp of control that they've been outwardly speaking about for the past few years, since Xi Jinping was basically made himself ruler until he dies. Yeah. And so, I mean, even recently there's a document that came out showing that there's like 2 million Chinese embedded spies all over the world in different governments. Recently, one of our senators from California, a Democratic senator from California, had a Chinese spy. Was basically sleeping with a Chinese spy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw that, but Swalwell, yeah. Eric Swalwell out of California.
And there was like a Harvard professor or somebody like that who was part of a Chinese spy ring.
Yeah, so there's there's been a bunch that the mainstream media just decides not to talk about for God knows what.
No shit.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but yeah, there was a Harvard professor, some sort of bioengineering, but yeah, he was taking money from the CCP, and
Had millions or something like that.
yeah, and I've mentioned this previously on the show, but yeah, taking millions, and there was a whole Twitter thread about all these universities involved of taking money from the CCP and going over there and researching. This was before COVID broke out, so this is not like post COVID. So anyway, I'm more along those lines. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, no, I could get on board with that because we've had the same thing happen in Australia.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few politicians have been found to be tied to China, to the point where last year in 2019 a few had to step down because of what was found out. But yeah, I can see that for sure.
I think the political norm here now is for them to go, oh, it's just fake news. I'm not stepping down. That's fake.
That is. No one
Trump.
steps down here. They just call it fake news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. I think if it were me, if I were a politician and I got caught doing something like that, instead of just saying, fake news or, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'd be like, yeah, I did it. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, seriously.
What are you going to do about it? Okay, I did it. It's like take the whole Clinton thing back in the 90s, where in the Monica Lewinsky scandal.
Yeah.
All he had to do, I mean, that got blown way, way, way out of proportion. All he had to do was when he was, being testifying before Congress, to be like, yeah, I did it. What are you going to do about it? Has nothing to do with anything other than I cheated on my wife. I did it.
Yeah. And there would probably be a large amount of U.S. males
true.
that could have associated with him. Yeah.
Like the politicians, I find, especially ones that get to the point of being president or prime minister here in Australia, they're not normal people. Yeah, they've been bred basically to be politicians. They're from a lineage of family members who had something to do with politics, and they don't know how to react in public life. Like how many. I know with us, it's a running joke with Australia how many prime ministers can't drink a beer properly, because every time they put it up to them, it is weird. Like how many of them just can't pick a glass up and drink out of it properly.
Now, you guys have had like 6 prime ministers in like 12 years or something like that, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it works differently in Australia too. In America, like we don't elect a person, we elect a party, and then the prime minister is the head of the party.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, so when you vote, we don't have, say, 3 different people run for the Conservative Party. We don't have 3 different people run for the Labor Party. One person runs as a figurehead, and we vote them in. And if that figurehead isn't doing the job right, the party from within can revolt against them and vote them out as leader of the party.
Oh my
and then
God.
a new leader takes place.
Why don't we do that over here?
I'm going to be honest. I had no idea. That's
didn't
crazy.
know that either.
Yeah.
That is super genius.
It's okay, but the thing is, it doesn't really matter who the figurehead is, because the party line is the party line. It's going to be doing what
That's
it wants
true.
to do anyway. But there's checks and balances in place. Like we have a Senate as well. A lot of people in Australia think the Senate probably has too much power in Australia, which I sort of do, because we have a parliament, and what gets discussed in the parliament can be completely overturned by the Senate. So they're probably more powerful, and the Senate isn't actually elected by the people. They're elected by they are by how many votes go in, but the Senate members are elected by the party of who gets into the Senate seats.
Wow. Learn something new every day. How about that?
Yeah, I had no idea.
So I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach to what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at it as a biblical thing.
Oh.
Okay? So, So even though the coronavirus isn't mentioned by name in the Bible, there are a lot of Christians who are claiming that there are biblical prophecies or passages in the Bible that can be linked to this whole thing. And the most common one is Matthew 24, and it reads, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes, and diverse places. All of these are the beginnings of sorrows. And this passage is attributed to Jesus Christ, who was telling his followers what to expect before his second coming. So it kind of, now, before we get any deeper into this, number one, I am not a religious person, okay?
Yep.
So I'm not trying to push any religious viewpoint here. I just wanted to, cover a different angle, and I am popular on this show for taking the Bible or religious customs and kind of breaking them down to what their true meaning is, which is usually paganism. But but I knew before I even started doing any type of research for this, I knew that you could take this and trace it back to some sort of biblical something, because they're always going to find something in the Bible after the fact that, so this is what they're saying is that Matthew 24 is saying that that, hey, this COVID-19, this coronavirus, this is marking the beginning of the second coming of Christ, which, we've been in the second coming of Christ for 200 years now or more. It depends on who you talk to,
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. Thoughts? Could this be a biblical, prophecy come true?
The interesting thing I find with that is that that can, as I said, you can apply that thought process to anything bad that happened, and just go, oh well, this is apply it to the polio and all that. Go back in those days, and the problem with when you read things like the Bible is that nothing is a closed sentence. Nothing is it's all open ended. So it's not like a constitution or something where it's black and white. It's very open to interpretation.
It is open to interpretation, and that's one of the things that is, I think, a negative aspect of taking the Bible and comparing it to what is going on in modern day times, is that you can basically, if you know the Bible well enough, you can cherry pick whatever you want from the Bible and say, oh, this applies right to this specific time right here. It's like trying to interpret the prophecies of Nostradamus,
Exactly. I was about to say, you look at any of those people who who done predictions and things like that, and they go, oh yeah, all his predictions came true. Yeah, of course they did, because you've spanned it out over 1,000 years or 100, whatever time frame you want to pick. These things are inevitable. It's just more about looking at society and seeing what society is doing, and you can sort of predict what society is where it's going to go, and unless something really radical happens.
Right. And I even looked up Nostradamus, and I was like, hey, did Nostradamus predict any pestilence coming on for 2020? And I couldn't find any references to where Nostradamus said anything specifically about 2020, but there are people out there who, interestingly enough, say that Nostradamus predicted that Donald Trump would be reelected in 2020, which obviously that did not come true.
No.
That's when he was hanging out at Mar-a-Lago back in the day. You didn't remember that?
Yeah,
true. I think they're trying to kick him out now.
They are. They don't want your ass here.
I was going to mention I don't know if you've heard of these from the Hindu tradition, the yugas and the Kali Yuga. So
this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into any detail because it is too much detail for me, and I just this popped in my head because I had been listening to another podcast that was talking about this, but I haven't done any research on this. But yeah, so the Hindus have these eras of time written down. And basically, within those eras of time, there are up cycles and down cycles. So, like, period of growth and then period of destruction, and then it's back up again. And some people think we're in a certain period of the Kali Yuga that is on the down cycle, I believe.
Okay.
But we are in a certain part of that cycle that is coming to an end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
There's been a lot of astrology talk too lately. That there was, I've gone blank on what it is, but there's things like what is it, planets and stuff that are aligning that don't align. I'm not really an astrology type of person, so, but I just know there's been a lot of talk out there amongst a lot of the because I follow just randoms on Twitter, and there's been a lot of talk about with astrology and with paganism and stuff like that.
Was it Saturn and Jupiter beliefs are aligning?
That's it, yeah.
On the 21st, I believe.
And we're in the time of Aquarius now, or something like that.
Yeah, and the 21st is also the first day of winter. It's the winter solstice. I mean, there's, as far as like paganism and Wicca and the esoteric arts, this December 21st, which is a couple of days away, actually tomorrow. Yeah, isn't it tomorrow? Yeah, it's tomorrow. Holy shit. Yeah, tomorrow is got to have some sort of significance. You know, when you're talking about
today
Wicca.
For me.
Yeah, it's
it is today for you. Yep. Well, hope you don't die or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye out
now. So yes, there's got to be something, to that. But once again, I have checked into, occult practices, Wicca, and all that sorts of stuff, trying to find any reference that I could to, something terrible for 2020, and I can't really find anything, except for you go back to the Bible and religion, and people are saying, well, Matthew 24 says, pestilence and famine, and then they go on a little bit further, and they're saying this is one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are war, famine, pestilence, and death. So you look at this, and you have pestilence and death. So you got two of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, according to biblical prophecy in Revelations.
I'll see your prophecies, and I'll raise you another.
Okay.
We in Australia here, we ended last year in flames. We had a huge fire. I'm a firefighter in normal life, and I was away with the fire. Like this time last year, I was actually on the coast fighting fires, and and a lot of people sort of didn't think anything of it. Then we went into 2020, and the coronavirus came around, and then everyone's like, war, famine, it's all sort of happening, and then. The same thing in 2019, we had one of the worst droughts we've ever had. Really, really decimated some of the farmers out here. And there's your what's it called, pestilence, and it's interesting. It's
famine, pestilence, and death. The only thing we don't have is war, which we're constantly on the brink of anyway.
Sort of. We've been in Afghanistan
someone sort of
for
said
20
the fires
years.
could be. So I was just going to say, someone could say that the fires could have been considered as war because it's war was also known as wrath, and wrath could mean if you look in some of the old texts in the Old Testament, I think there's talks of fiery wrath and stuff like that. So it can be once again interpreted in many different ways. The idea of war.
War could also be referencing the protests and riots that we had here in the States.
Yeah, I mean, some of those images look like a war.
Yeah.
I mean, they also used the war to describe the COVID virus. They also said we're finding it's a silent killer.
Yeah. So, I mean, biblically, if you look at it, and I'm sure there's more than just Matthew 24 that could point to this, but that's the most referenced one. But if biblically, if you look at the Bible, you can cherry pick stuff and say, well, this is fitting what's going on right now, especially the four horsemen thing. Like I said, we've got war, pestilence, famine, and death. Well, we basically have got at least three of those four things
consistently.
Yeah, consistently. So, is it a biblical?
The only thing we're waiting for is the locust plagues.
Man. Yeah, I forgot that Australia almost burned itself alive last year. I totally forgot about that.
I know.
it was
Unfortunately,
crazy.
yeah, I did too, because there's just been so much shit thrown at us.
And no kidding. And by the way, Oz, good on you for being a firefighter, man.
Oh, I love it. I've been doing it for 10 years now.
Yeah, in my former life, I was a paramedic. I still keep up my certification.
Oh,
but
wow.
I don't work as a paramedic anymore. But I got much love for you as I pound my chest. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great service. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
We're sort of different here in Australia to you guys. We have the fire brigade and the paramedics separate.
It depends on what area of the state, the continent you're in over here. Some of ours are separate. Some of them are together, and some of them you only have one.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
It was like,
We've got these
we don't have ambulances out here. We just drive ourselves to the hospital.
Yeah, I guess some parts.
Yeah, very rural.
Yeah, very rural.
Yeah, we're pretty we're right out in the sticks as well, but not so much that I grew up in tiny little places, but where we are now is a bit bigger. But yeah, so I had one I wanted to bring up with you. This is more of a tongue in cheek one.
Let's do it.
So did you hear about the theory that the coronavirus happened in England because the government was trying to build a giant lasagna?
What?
Yeah. So it started off as a joke in a soccer hooligans WhatsApp group, and this fellow uploads this audio clip claiming the Ministry of Defence was about to requisition Wembley Stadium to cook the world's biggest lasagna, and it went viral. Went absolutely crazy everywhere, and all over England and Australia at least, that the whole Wembley Stadium was going to be turned into a giant lasagna. And then that's why they wanted everyone to be locked down, because they didn't want anyone to find out that there was a giant lasagna being cooked in Wembley Stadium.
Oh, my God.
That makes no sense.
I have
That
no
is amazing,
idea why
honestly.
people would believe that. But people believed it. People actually went and petitioned the government and said, how dare you try to cook a lasagna in Wembley Stadium?
Wow. I mean, I can see that. People are actually taking that seriously. Oh, wow.
How does this world come to?
That was...
No, I don't think there's any credence to that whatsoever.
No.
Oh my God.
Then they also said somewhere in France was I think the French came out with a joke after that saying that we're making the world's biggest garlic bread to go with it.
Just ship it across the channel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
I thought that
That's
was a funny
amazing.
one,
No,
though.
I'd never heard of that.
No, that's a new one on me
That's
too.
brilliant. That's brilliant.
So
People are getting stir crazy, I think.
Yeah.
Cabin fever.
you got a different one for us, Eric? You're like you're like deep into research over there.
No, I was well, I wish I had delved into this Kali Yuga cycle, because I personally believe there's something to it, but we can save that for another date.
Okay.
No, but I would actually like to go back to sort of a globalist type of
New World Order. stuff?
New World Order type. Cause,
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, that was what I was going to bring up. So go for it.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I was gonna say, similar to what happened after 9/11 with the NSA and all the tracking of U.S. citizens, I do believe that rather the COVID is. I mean, I believe COVID is real. Don't get me wrong, but I do believe that governments are using this as an excuse to implement more controls over citizens. Whether it's lockdowns, the whole stay at home, protect yourself. I'm much more of a, if you're sick and you don't want to go out, stay at home. Like, it's up to you. Okay, like there's many ways of mitigating risk by yourself if you're an at-risk population. But I think governments are using this as a...
That's interesting that you would bring that up, because that was something that I was going to touch on.
Yeah.
Was New World Order type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got a friend. His name's Isaac Weishaupt.
Yeah.
Oz, I don't know if you've ever heard of this guy, but he does a podcast.
No.
He is excellent as far as conspiracy theories in the entertainment culture. in the entertainment
really?
industry. Yeah, he hosts this podcast called Conspiracy Theories and Unpopular Culture. And he has been doing this. He has been doing this for years, and he is a big time. I'm not going to. I don't know how to properly say it, but I guess believer in the Illuminati, and what he calls the Illuminati, he doesn't exactly know like who the Illuminati are or what their where their headquarters is or anything like that, but he says that they're embedded in the entertainment industry, and he breaks down a lot of these awards shows and music videos and stuff like that about the Illuminati symbolism in them. Very interesting stuff.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I 100% believe it. Honestly, I think you look at people who, at the start of their career, they go and they get into small-time TV and stuff. Then by the time they get into Hollywood, they become these completely different people. And if there's a narrative that needs to be pushed, if they want everyone to follow, to believe something, they've almost become deity status when it comes to musicians and actors and actresses, whereas they'll come out and say whatever they want and people will actually believe what they're saying. Yeah. And I think you can't, a government wouldn't be silly enough to go, oh, that's a commodity that we're not going to use. Like, that's a resource that they can really latch onto and go, this is a voice directly to the people that can be seen as counterculture, which isn't counterculture at all.
Yeah, and one of the things that he says is that the entertainers who are being indoctrinated into this Illuminati is they don't realize what they're doing. They're just being told, okay, we need you to, make this funny symbol with your hand. It'd be great for this picture or whatever, and they just do it,
Yep.
Because they're told to, not necessarily because they think they're trying to control people or anything like that. They're just doing it because they're told to, but they are being manipulated by the Illuminati behind the scenes, whoever they are. So,
I believe it. And so I've even got the belief along the same lines as that. I think this ties into that, is I've always had this belief that there's, I don't think there really is in the government a left and right wing. I think in our minds there is, but when it comes to the government, I honestly think both sides just work with each other. And it's all just, I think it seems like an act to me. It seems like they're actors more than they are politicians, if you know what I mean.
Could be.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100% on that. Especially, obviously I don't know anything about Australian politics, but I can agree with that as far as the U.S. goes.
Eric, try manipulating your microphone again. There's just sort of getting that hiss. We're having mic problems. We're getting a hiss from Eric's mic. I don't know what's going on with it. Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it on my end.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe
hear it
it's
either.
just my end.
It must be.
I hope it's not like coming out over. We'll find out in post, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Well, whatever you did there, that was.
I'll just keep it right there. Just hold it.
Well, most of the time you haven't been touching the mic whenever it happened anyway,
up,
so it just keeps. I don't know.
They're the worst problems when you fix something and you don't know how you fixed it. It's like,
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So I
I
did this
prefer to
last
know
week.
exactly what went wrong.
So one of the things that you touched on, Eric, was about how like control is being like given up, how we're being traced with all this contact tracing and stuff. I mean, man, if you want to look at contact tracing, look at the NFL, dude.
Oh,
They've got it down to a science.
Crazy.
I tell you, if people would put as much effort into solving world problems as they do into what goes on for an NFL game,
oh, jeez,
there would be no problems in the world.
Yep.
It's crazy. So I've been looking into stuff, and there are, is it possible that this whole thing was a plot by the New World Order, or the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, to, give up or gain control for us to give up some of our freedoms because, oh God, look at this. This is a global pandemic, and now all of a sudden we have the government that's doing unprecedented things. You can relate it to the 1918 flu pandemic that happened, but we've got, certainly never within our lifetimes have we ever seen where you couldn't go out to eat at a restaurant, or you couldn't go to a club to listen to some live music, or you can't go in a store or anywhere else in public without having a mask on, or you get, kicked out or get a ticket or something like that. I'm of the belief that wearing a mask is not giving up any of my constitutional rights. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says I'm being, my rights are being violated with that.
Yeah.
I'm a believer in, and Oz, I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but I'm sure you seem like a rational human being, so you're probably the same way. But I think that the government, the job of the government is not to take care of me as an individual. It's to take care of the nation as a whole. And them saying, hey, we need to put restrictions on where you can go, how many people can gather, you need to wear a mask. I don't think that's not giving up anything. It's the job of the government to protect the people. And all these people who were saying, oh, you're infringing upon my rights by making me wear a mask and by mandating that I can't go to a club or a restaurant or whatever, blah, blah, blah. All these people who were yelling and screaming at the government for doing its job would be the same people who, if the government just sat back and did nothing and said, carry on as usual, and people were dying at a more rapid rate than what they are now, those are the same people that will be pointing their fingers at the government going, you're not doing enough to protect us. So the government is in a bad spot here with this. So
they are, and I don't think it's going to matter who's in charge either.
Nope.
I don't think it's going to. I think. So my personal opinion with this is, I'm not really a big government guy. I think big government needs to look after, as you said, the populace as a whole. But I don't want big government in my back pocket. I don't want them looking after me individually. I should have the responsibility of my own control. And societally, I think we should be able to look after ourselves pretty well, but we don't, is the problem.
Yeah.
And that's where the big government does need to pull some strings in the background.
Oh, we should see the look on Eric's face right now. He's like,
I'm agreeing with you 100%.
There is one problem with this, though, and we saw it in Australia a bit. So we had prime case was we had this young lady pregnant and barefoot, literally, organised something online. It was a protest against the lockdowns. Anyway, she was organising online, and they got it all on video. Federal police, now not normal beat police, federal police came in, agents came into a home, no warrant, no knock. They just walked in, put handcuffs on her. She's a pregnant lady, barefoot, and walked her out the door. And and I was a bit like, that's okay. I didn't want her doing the protest. I thought that was stupid, but to have a federal agent come in, they seized all of her computers and things like that. Like, that's unheard of in our society. That would normally be a knock on the door from a beat cop saying, "Hey, look, we saw this on social media. Don't be stupid. Pull your head in." But that's not what happened here. I said from the start, I said back in January, when the dust settles after 2020 and after the virus has been minimized, what's going to be changed? What laws have been passed that we don't know about? I said the same thing about Hong Kong. What's going to be left of Hong Kong at the end of this? Because start of this, Hong Kong riots were a huge thing. We saw the riots in Paris. We saw firefighters and police and ambulance all turn against the government. We saw even military starting to turn against government in Paris. Then all of a sudden the coronavirus hit, and all that went away.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I don't know that I've talked to you about that. I probably just talked to my parents. But France, they were like rioting like every day in France. And then same with Hong Kong. I mean, they were using like lasers against police and stuff. I mean, Hong Kong almost looked like a third world country, and it's not from what I know of it. And
but you didn't hear anything about that on mainstream media.
No. And I want to point out this before I forget it. You don't hear anything about improving your personal health from the mainstream media. All they are pushing is the vaccine made by big government and big tech, big biotech. That's all you ever hear. You never hear about supplementing with vitamin D in the colder months where you aren't out in the sun. You never hear about vitamin C. You never hear about magnesium, zinc. You never hear about any oils to help for your to help dissolve mucus. You never hear about any personal natural supplements. It's all big biotech, big tech, and just trust
fear
us.
mongering, basically.
Yeah, fear mongering. And I do believe. Don't get me wrong. I do believe that a vaccine is needed. Oh, yeah. But if all you do is push that, I just think that's bad.
Well, here's the thing. Everything that you said about supplements and stuff, is it true? Some of it may work, some of it may not. We don't really know. But it's like chicken soup. It might not help, but it certainly can't hurt.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Chicken soup when you have a cold.
Exactly.
You know, but are those things going to prevent you from getting sick? No. They're not going to prevent you from getting sick. However, they will boost your immune system.
Build your immune system, exactly.
And if you do get sick, it won't be as bad as what it was.
Yes.
So, you're absolutely right. Should mainstream media be helping to push that? Yeah. Go ahead, Oz.
Can I just say something? Because Eric's honestly, I'm like a bobblehead right now. I'm nodding so much. My thing with this is, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm also ex-army, and they gave us so many vaccines in that. So I'm nowhere near an anti-vaxxer. Yeah. I've got children; they all get vaccinated. My problem is with rushing vaccines. So I'm just citing this here from your CDC. The morbidity and mortality report from 2019 said that the influenza vaccine has been 45% effective overall against 2019 and 2020. So that's the influenza vaccine. Now, we've had that influenza vaccine around since the late 80s, I believe. And we work on it every year. So that's something we've been working for decades on. Mm-hmm. Then you take this new coronavirus, and then then they come out with this vaccine. They go, it's got a 95% effective success rate. Mm-hmm. This is why people get conspiratorial about it, because how can you say it's got a 95% success rate, but the flu vaccine we've had for decades, and it only has a 45% effectiveness rate?
I can totally answer that question for you.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the deal. You're right. Flu vaccine's been around for a long time. So's the flu, right? But the flu kind of changes every year. The strains of the flu change. There's not just one flu virus and it stays the same. It's different every year. So how they come up with a vaccine is they take data based on the previous year and they go, okay, we're thinking next year that this strain of flu is going to be the one that's prevalent. So they manufacture a shit ton of vaccines for that particular strain of flu. And sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it wrong. Mm. And when they get it wrong, a shit ton of people get sick. And when they get it right, a shit ton of people don't get sick. So there's your flu vaccine thing. But your point about the coronavirus, this COVID-19 vaccine is dead on. Is like, how do we know that it's 95% effective? The studies that they've done post-vaccination, you know how long they studied after this? 3 months. That's the furthest out they've studied.
Mm. Exactly.
You know how long you really need to study someone to make sure that vaccine's effective? 2 years. You got to study it for 2 years.
Yeah.
The FDA, they themselves say, and they control all these vaccines and drugs, right? Mm-hmm. They themselves say the safest that we can safely fast track a new medication through our system is 18 months. Mm. Now, it's been way less than 18 months.
Yeah, needless to say.
But there's this something called this emergency use authorization, which, kind of was made for stuff like this. And I'm telling you, I'm in the medical profession, and part of my job is to prepare and respond to stuff that's going on just like this. So I've been heavily involved in all of this since January, and I really have had reservations about the vaccine because there has been no long-term studies. But I've also been one of the most staunch supporters of wear your damn mask in public, stay at home, don't gather in large groups, wash your damn hands, and as a leader at the hospital that I work at, as a leader and as someone who's been so vocal about all this, I've really been on the fence about should I get this vaccine or not. But ultimately, because I have been so vocal about, stay safe, stay socially aware, wash your hands, wear your mask, and vaccines relatively are safe. They're some of the safest medications that you can get. I got my COVID vaccine on Friday.
Did?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I was on the fence about it, but ultimately I decided I needed to put my money where my mouth was. And I'm in the first group. I was one of the first people here in Tennessee to get it. I'm proud of that. And, if I get some sort of weird testicular cancer or something like that, or grow a hand on my forehead in the next year, we'll know. You guys are my witnesses. Yeah. We'll know. You can trace it back to, he got that COVID vaccine. Yeah. Back in December 2020. Yes, Merry Christmas. Now he's dead.
You might want to write to your medical board as well then and say maybe when you're promoting the vaccine, don't get a nurse who is prone to fainting after injection.
That was so weird. I was like, what are the odds that this woman faints?
That's what they said. That was the story afterwards. They said, well, it turns out that she's prone to fainting after injections. It's like, okay, cool, but don't put her as your figurehead.
Well, she has a degree of responsibility in that because she knew that she was going to effing faint. Exactly. So she should have said, hey, you don't want me. I'm going to faint. Jesus Christ.
Or maybe she did.
And that clip is
I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Maybe she's a plant by the New World Order.
Yeah,
maybe she's working with them. That could be. You never know. But so this could, let's look at it. Let's look at it that way. New World Order. Let's just say that there is a secret society, the Bilderberg Group. That's real, right? The people
100%.
Who Bohemian Grove.
Those
people are real.
Yeah.
It's so the fact that there could be a New World Order or an Illuminati, totally possible. So what better way to help gain control and push your secret agendas than doing something like this? Same thing happened with 9/11. How much of our quote unquote freedoms to privacy did we give up after 9/11?
Yeah. Even us, that happened to you guys, and it affected everyone around the world. The anti-terrorism laws in Australia became so strict. We have a rule where police can come and federal police can come and arrest you and hold you under arrest without any reason except for they believe that you could be a terrorist. No proof, no evidence, but they can hold you. That's part of anti-terrorism laws in Australia.
So if you're like a drug runner or something and they don't have any proof that you're doing that, they can just say, oh, well, we think he may be a terrorist, and they can arrest you and hold you until they... I don't think they'd really try to push it too much. I think that would lead to a whole bunch of other problems because you're sort of going into entrapment there and a few other issues.
Yeah.
So... but it does exist if anyone want to. And likewise, if you come into my house and you, as a federal officer, arrest me for, say, like that lady did, saying something on Facebook, which I think is insane. Like you can get taken by federal police in Australia now for saying something on the internet. And when you do this, they can seize your computers.
Yeah.
Now, I hate the idea of that. I hate the idea of anyone just taking it. Not that I've got anything bad on there, but it's the fact of what are you going to do to my computer when you've got it? Like, how can I trust that? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally.
By the way, speaking of that lady, has she ever been seen or heard from again?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe she was on Instagram or something like that, doing a bit of a rant, and yeah.
That would be
I
kind of.
don't know if
awesome
I'm not going to call her an
disappeared.
anti-vaxxer, but yeah,
Yeah.
a bit strange.
But yeah, so have you ever heard of Agenda 21? Either of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got that on my list here. Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, you're
Yeah,
smart.
I've
I
got
like
that
you.
on my list, and I was going to say as well. I'm a centrist, by the way. I'm not left or right. I'm right in the middle with all the dead critters in the middle of the road. But in saying that, I found it a little bit off-putting when I saw Joe Biden on up there saying "Build Back Better." I've been hearing this around the world everywhere. The German leaders, England, Australia, a lot of people have been using the terms "Build Back Better," and a lot of it does come into play when you're looking at Agenda 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
Better.
does.
Yeah, it's like better for who?
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
Who's it better
Exactly.
for?
Better for the Illuminati. Better for the New World Order.
Yeah, better for the wealthy,
Yep.
for sure.
So for
Well, that's right. The thing is, everyone sort of goes Illuminati and they think of this evil sort of group in a lair somewhere. No, we're talking about just the rich people who you don't know about. You know, the billionaires that we never see, that you don't read about because they keep themselves quiet.
like
Or the-
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, exactly. Or the people who fly to Davos each year and then talk about how we got to change the climate after they just flew on a private jet like 3,000 miles.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotta love that.
Drives me insane. The hypocrisy of power has been a big thing that stood out in 2020, I think. Like, I hated when I'm seeing someone like The Rock get on TV saying, "Yo, you need to do this and you need to do that," and then he goes and gets coronavirus. I'm like, well, okay, what were you doing?
Where
like-
were you?
He blamed it on
Where were
family
you?
friends coming over to his house, though.
Did he really?
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. He was like,
Yeah.
he was
And then
trusted
I'd see a
people.
lot of there's a lot of politicians as well that have been going against their own ruls. Like we have it here in Australia. I think it's more prevalent in America there.
course
You
it
had
is.
that Gavin Newsom got caught going to a party and all that. I think twice he got caught or something like that.
I think it was the governor of California did the same thing
Yeah.
after
and-
he made this
Yeah.
big speech about we can't have people gathering and blah blah blah, and then goes to a party and gets busted.
Yeah. And it was the
I couldn't
mayor
believe
of
when I
Austin.
heard your
Mayor of Los
Sorry?
Angeles. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna
right. Yep. I just couldn't believe when I heard at the start of all this, when I heard your leaders from New York and that saying we're going to put patients into aged care. I worked in aged care, and I'm just like, no. That's a bubble. You need to keep that place, like, everyone out. You need to lock down your aged care homes. Don't let anyone in. And if there's anyone in there that has it, you need to put them into a complete isolation zone.
Yep.
You do not want to, like, that was insane to me to hear people, like, we're here at home here, and someone mentioned in Australia, oh yeah, maybe we could use some of the beds in the aged care homes. And they were just shouted down straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cuomo up in New York. Yeah, he put a bunch of people into like you say, aged care.
And Whitmer
retirement.
too, didn't she?
Yeah.
Say that again, Oz.
Whitmer? Was it a Whitmer? Governor
Gretchen
Whitmer?
Whitmer
I keep
in,
hearing about. Didn't she
Michigan,
do
I
that
believe.
too?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I
And
tell
once
you,
again, I'll tell you, just so for your listeners, I don't know I don't know if these people are left or right. I really don't care. I see bad
do I.
decisions, and I'm like, I'll
Well-
call out bad decisions.
yeah, bad
Ironic-
decision's a bad decision. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Ironically enough, all the ones that you just mentioned are Democrats. So I'm a centrist as well. I'm in the middle, but ironically enough, they're all
Oh,
Democrats.
geez, I better
you
put my
can't
MAGA
win.
cap away. Sorry.
That's
you're
that's
fine.
okay. You can't win. You absolutely
No,
cannot.
you can't.
You know,
Oh, dear.
I've been saying this for basically since the beginning of this, because of basically what you just said, Oz. People in charge making bad decisions, and who's in charge? The politicians. And whenever you add politics to anything, the answer is always politics. So this one of the reasons why this thing has gotten so out of control is because politics has gotten mixed in with it, and people have tried to use it to their political advantage instead of doing what's right for the people, which goes back to control by the New World Order. That's exactly like something that the New World Order would do. So I think if
100%.
anybody would be doing this, it would be one of two people. It would either be the aforementioned New World Order or Illuminati, take your pick.
Yep.
Or the Chinese government did this as an experiment for something that is twice as bad as this. But I don't think I've already talked about this ad nauseum. I don't think the Chinese government had anything to do with this. I really do think that this was a complete accident. Somebody in that BSL-4 lab over there in Wuhan didn't wash their hands or something and let this shit out, and now everybody in the whole entire world is paying for it.
Yeah.
But, could that person have been controlled by the New World Order and not the Chinese government? That's a possibility too.
I mean,
yeah, and have you noticed that you haven't heard anything about Ghislaine Maxwell during all this either? Like all these stories that were big at the start of the year, so much has been sort of just swept under the rug. As soon as something sort of peaks up a bit, and I know this guy. I know this is. I definitely know Joe Biden's a Democrat, but all the Hunter Biden stuff, they got swept under the carpet very quickly. There's so many of these powerful, rich people who are getting caught out. But if that was me and my community found out I was doing that sort of stuff, I'd be chased out of town.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep, 100%.
The only thing that I've heard about Ghislaine Maxwell is that they were changing her cell location like almost daily for a while. I don't know if that's still true or not.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yep.
Must have learned from the first one.
When was the last time we saw a photo of Julian Assange?
Man,
Yeah.
I forgot
By the
all
way,
about
go
this
off on
guy.
a tangent.
Yeah.
Go off on a tangent. I am pissed at my government about that because he's one of us. He's an Australian citizen.
Yeah.
He's born in Australia, and they just gave up on him. They've just gone, okay, yeah, no, we don't want anything to do with him. Yet we've brought people back home who have been drug smugglers, who have been bloody rapists and things like that. But we're not going to bring home Julian Assange, who, all in all, some of the stuff he released was pretty important for the public to know.
Mm-hmm.
Really lifted the veil on a lot of things.
Yep. Speaking of conspiracy theories. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Well, there's been a ton of calls for Julian Assange to be pardoned, but obviously no one's pulled the trigger.
We'll never hear from him again. He's he's buried under something somewhere down in the bowels of the NSA or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, we are about to run out of time, so we're going to wrap it up here. So basically, we haven't really come to any kind of conclusion here. But it's been fun, which was really the whole point of this, was just to throw some stuff out there and have some fun with it. And, really in the end, I don't think either one of us really believes that there's any kind of curse that's been placed on the whole entire world for the year 2020. I don't think so. I don't think that there's a plot by the Chinese government to do this, and I don't think that there's a plot by the New World Order or the Illuminati to do this, but I could be wrong on that point. I will concede that I may be wrong on that last point.
It's possible that you're wrong.
There is a possibility that I'm wrong on that.
Look, it's always that thing of I don't believe in the monster under my bed, but it's really fun to creep yourself out thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed.
Exactly. Well, Oz, tell us once again how we can hear your show and how to get in touch with you before we go.
Yep. So I'm on iTunes, Podomatic, all the big podcast catchers, Spotify. Except I'm not getting that Joe Rogan money yet. Yeah.
I just want a tenth of it. I'll be satisfied.
Yeah, just a percentile. Yeah. But you can also find me on Twitter at Aussie Oddball. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm mostly on Twitter, though. And if any listeners want to send me weird stories or anything that's happened to them, the email address is theoddballaussie@hotmail.com. And and I'll be doing my last show for the year next week, and then planning on doing some big stuff coming into next year.
All right, Oz. Well, thank you so much once again for joining this panel, and I really had a great time. You're an awesome guy, and you done a lot of research in a short amount of time, and that's cool, man.
Yeah. That was
thanks for having me. I really appreciate Sam and Eric. You guys are great. Like that was a lot of fun. As I said, this is the first time I've done an interview or panel type thing at all. So normally it's just me in a room. Sometimes my wife jumps in here and there, but it's mostly just me in a room with a microphone. So this is really fun actually talking to somebody else.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Eric and I were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were.
It's like, it's great to have someone to bounce ideas off of and interact with. So trust me, Oz, if I have anything to do with this, and I do, this will not be the last time that you are on a panel. So you'll be back.
Oh, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, and
I really appreciate that.
I'd love to help you out. Love to have you back on the show anytime, brother.
Yeah, and next year, if I once I get all my stuff sorted, I'd love to do some episodes like that as well. Bring you onto my show.
Anytime.
Do a swapcast type thing.
Yeah, we're up for it. We're down. We're down with the sickness. Except for COVID, we're not down with that.
Except for COVID, we don't want to be down with that sickness.
All right, Oz.
Which we've had a breakout in Australia this week, so
really?
fun.
Yeah, except for your area. Except for your area.
My area's fine. We're absolutely fine.
I need to go there. We need to move there.
Yeah.
Let's go. My wife would love it. She's always wanted to go to Australia. Now she has the perfect excuse.
Yeah, there you go.
There's no COVID.
There's no COVID. Let's go there.
All right, Oz. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anyway, mate. Yep. Thanks for having me on. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. We'll catch up with you. Thanks. Well, everybody, that about does it for this episode, this season 15 premiere of ParaReality. Hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know what your ideas and thoughts about it are. Send that email to sandman@parareality.com or get in touch with me via my social media accounts. That's Facebook at ParaReality, Facebook.com/ParaReality, Sandman.ParaReality. Holy shit. Let me try that again. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of ParaReality. Let me know what your ideas and thoughts about it are. Send me an email, sandman@parareality.com, or get in touch with me through my social media accounts. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/sandman.parareality. I did it.
Yep. Nailed it.
Or you can always get in touch with me on Twitter and Instagram. My username on both of those is at ParaRealRadio. That's at ParaRealRadio. And you can also call that studio line at 615-692-1170 and leave me a message. Also got the website, Eric.
ParaReality.com. That's looking good, man.
Yeah, ParaReality.com. That's the place we can keep up on all the latest paranormal news from all around the world. I've got an entire page of the website devoted to paranormal news, and the content is updated almost daily. And while you're there, you can also shop around in the ParaReality store and watch some of the terrible videos that I've made for the show over the years. I'm recently have now at this point, with the time that we're recording this, this is not true. But by the time this airs, I will have updated my website. I'm working on redesigning the website.
Oh, okay. I remember you talking about
that. Yeah. So I've added some content, moved some pages around, and made it a little bit more user-friendly, I think. So be sure to check out ParaReality.com. If you're one of those people who don't really do social media, or if you don't have Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or something like that, and you don't want to create an account just to follow the podcast, don't worry about that. I got you covered, because I have an entire page of my website devoted solely to my social media accounts. That's right. Every Facebook post that I make, every tweet that I Twitter, and every Instagram pic that I post can be found right there on my website. So you don't have to create a social media account if you don't want to.
So easy.
I've got it covered.
So easy.
All right. So social media, man, that's where you can find out a lot about what's happening behind the scenes here of the podcast, because I post a lot of interesting articles, show topics, my opinions on a lot of things, and other interesting stuff like my travels, some investigations and stuff that go on. So, hey, ParaReality.com, that's really your one-stop shopping for everything that's going on in the world of ParaReality here on the podcast, or paranormal news. And I can't wait to debut my new podcast. Just like the archives are a little different. I got a page on there where you can. I did a link. What's it called? Linktree.
Oh,
account?
Linktree. Yeah, those are so helpful.
I know,
that's
right?
beautiful. Yeah.
You can click on the. There's a button. Jesus Christ!
An icon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Apparently my brain is just shut down.
It's that
now.
long distance communication. Yeah, with Oz.
So there's an icon that's going to be on the home page where you can click on that and it'll take you to my Linktree account and you can find like all the social media, all of the podcast platforms that I'm on. You just go down there and just click on those and there you are. It's great. Love it. Linktree. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of Linktree and podcast platforms and stuff, did you know, Eric, that you can listen to ParaReality on whatever your favorite podcast platform is?
Yeah, that's the word on the street, actually.
Yeah. All you got to do is say you like Spotify. You're a Spotify guy, right?
I am a Spotify guy.
Did you know you can hear ParaReality on Spotify?
Yeah.
All you got to do is just do a search for ParaReality on Spotify.
Just search it, man.
Yeah. Or maybe Apple Podcast. Dude, I'm there.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're on Apple Podcast. Just do a search, ParaReality.
You figured out the picture thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I almost said a bad word. I don't like those guys at Apple. They're not friendly.
Yeah.
And to keep someone's podcast from being listed on their page because of an image.
I know, it seems kind of archaic.
It does seem archaic. Now, if I had like a dick on it, okay, but there's nothing bad about just the podcast logo. What the hell?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't meet your size requirements. Can't someone? There's someone there
just adjust that
could adjust it. I'm sure. People get paid to do stuff like that.
Seriously.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever podcast platform you want to listen to ParaReality on, man, I think I'm there. I'm pretty
sure
you
are. Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, I've also got a YouTube account. Another social media platform that I'm on. If you want to see some of the show videos that I've made, or maybe you're just a big YouTube person, I got actually a lot of people that listen to the podcast from
just on
YouTube.
Yeah, I've done that quite a bit.
Yeah, so just go to youtube.com. Let's see. Let me make sure I got this right now. It's youtube.com. ParaReality 1. Yeah.
ParaReality 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
The number 1. Yeah, that's it. I had to stop and think for a second. I'm like, I don't know. So it's youtube.com/user/ParaReality1, the number 1. That's it.
Sweet.
Yeah, had to stop and think for a second.
Yeah, make sure you get it right.
I wrote it down, and I, of course, couldn't find it. So
yeah.
So that's how you can find me on YouTube. So I've got some. I remember me telling you about the web TV series I tried to do myself, and it was like, it sucked. It was really bad. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah.
You should totally watch that.
Visual content creation is so much harder than just voice.
It is, especially when you're trying to do it by yourself.
Yep.
You need a camera guy. I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, you do.
You can just, wind up doing what I did, would just set a camera up and have like one shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not fun.
No.
And then I tried 2 cameras. I had one camera in front of me and one camera at a different angle. And so I was filming using both at the same time, and I was trying to look from one camera to and then you had to go back and like try to edit all that. That was horrible.
No.
So the little web series thing that I did was a dismal failure. I did have a couple of really good episodes, and like the content was I thought was pretty good. But the execution,
it's not quite there.
Yeah, it was horrible. So I quickly abandoned that idea. I had promised that I was going to do, I can't remember how many episodes, and I missed the mark by a few, and I kept saying, I'm going to go back and finish that just because I said I was going to do, like, 3 episodes. That's never going to happen. No, but I did put them up on YouTube for everyone to laugh at and enjoy.
Always.
So you can check those out. Plus, all the audio from this podcast is up on YouTube. I've got some documentaries that are public domain documentaries and stuff that are kind of old but still relative to relating to what I do here, I got some documentaries up there, and I did a little News of the Strange segment that I started right before coronavirus hit, and I did like 3 episodes, and then we got COVID, and I haven't been able to do one, so I may bring that back. I don't know. But there's
what's it called? Views?
News of the Strange.
News of the Strange. I remember that.
You were
now.
so close.
Yeah, I was
Views,
very close.
News, you were so close. But yeah, so so there's all that stuff up on YouTube. So I would appreciate it if you just check out my YouTube account, and I got a Patreon account too for the podcast, and I'd love it if you'd sign up to be a patron. There are 3 tiers of support on my Patreon account, and all are extremely affordable. $5 a month or less, and each level offers exclusive content, along with the ability to help create podcast episodes and even a chance to be a guest or a co-host. Back when I was on Life 365, believe it or not, I had a fan club. There were people who started a fan club.
Wow.
And they called themselves Chaos, K-A-O-S, Knowledgeable Apprentices of Sandman.
That's pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty cool, too.
Yeah.
So I brought back Chaos. It's not a fan club, but it's what I call my Patreon people. So if you want to be an agent of chaos,
nice,
you need to join Patreon and become a patron member of ParaReality.
Yeah.
And you can even have a chance to appear as a guest on the podcast. As a matter of fact, you will be guaranteed, if you do it right, guaranteed the ability to be a guest or even a co-host here on the podcast.
Honestly, if one of my favorite podcasts said that, I'd be bought.
Yeah, $5 a month.
Yeah, to come and chat with us about whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not going to fly you in and put you up in a hotel or anything like that.
We'll
but
Skype you in like we did.
Yeah, I call you on the phone.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're in driving distance and you want to drive over, yeah, sure, I'll feed you. I can get my wife's a great cook. She'll cook you up a meal, or I'll take you out for a steak dinner or something. But I'm not flying you in, and I'm not putting you up in a hotel room. But
we'll give you some barbecue. Yeah,
it's like, here's a bologna sandwich and a Mountain Dew, kid. Welcome to the show.
Here's some spam.
Yeah.
Spam and eggs.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that I don't know of anybody else that's doing anything like that.
I honestly, anything I listen to, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So, and I try to keep it like, look, I don't want to get, would I love to just make a tenth of what Joe Rogan makes? Absolutely. I'm not going to lie, but I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make money off of this podcast. So everything that, get anything from the merch shop or from Patreon or whatever goes right back into producing the podcast. So I try to keep it affordable because I know that, especially now, everybody needs, everything needs to be affordable. So at a maximum $60, you would get the ability to be a guest on the show or co-host it. You get swag. You get exclusive content that's available only to Patreon people. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, go to patreon.com/ParaReality if you want to be an agent of chaos.
That's a brilliant tagline.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I came up with that all by myself.
Did you really?
I'm going to give myself a raise for that. Yeah. All right, everybody. The next episode of ParaReality is going to be on January 15th at 8 p.m. Central U.S. time. So make sure you tune in, and find out. Eric, what's the latest with World We Live In? When are you coming back with that, dude?
Man, it's just a matter of I have to get a new computer somehow, so it's just a matter of saving up enough for a new computer.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I have a MacBook Air, and this isn't gonna with all this stuff. I've had this for 6 years almost, and it's not gonna be able to run a show on it. So I'm doing this with you, and I love doing it. So I will start my own back up, but right now
hiatus.
Yes, hiatus. Right now we're still on the hiatus, but you can check out my episodes if you want. They're all on iTunes, Spotify, just World We Live In podcast. And yeah, check them out. Let me know.
What's your email?
If you want to email me, you can find me at worldweliveinpodcast@gmail.com.
Eric, I'll make you a deal.
Yeah.
If someone out there will sign up to be a $5 a month patron,
Yeah.
I call that level the sand fan level.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, thank you. I did not come up with that by myself. If someone out there will sign up to be a sand fan, I will donate all of that money towards getting you a new computer. $60.
Wow.
60 whole dollars.
I will take that.
Yeah, so someone take pity on my co-host Eric and help him start back World We Live In podcast, because if we need anything else in this world, we need another podcast.
That is pretty much all we need.
We need World We Live In.
Yes.
We got to have it, and Eric's got to get back because he loves doing it. I mean, if you could see how excited he is whenever he gets to come over to the bunker and co-host this, you'd be like, why doesn't this man have his own podcast? Well, he does, ladies and gentlemen.
I do.
He does.
Earlier,
he needs your help.
I didn't even knock on Sandman's door. I just kicked down the door.
He did.
Yep.
He did.
And walked in. That's how excited I was.
Busted the glass.
Yep. Everything.
And was like, "What's up, bitch? Let's do this."
Let's get it popping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like drug me to the bunker.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So true.
I'm glad I cleaned up the place. What do you think? I've cleaned it up, huh?
It looks brilliant.
Looks
it
a lot better.
Looks great.
Yeah,
Smells good.
Still got a lot of stuff. I had a candle I was going to light and I forgot. It's clothes and shit. And I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, I got some new candles back at the place.
Sweet.
The new apartment. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to come check that place out.
Yes, we'll have you after the new year. I have to have all my friends over.
Yes.
Everyone's like, we're doing this for Thanksgiving, but Christmas, and I was like, we'll wait till after the first of the year, and I'll have everyone over.
Has your girlfriend decorated the place for you?
We just spent this past weekend. We did Christmas and put up a few lights. I had a little small Christmas tree. So
A little Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Exactly.
She's not staying over there at night with you, is she?
No.
Okay, good. Because your parents may be listening to this.
Yeah, shh. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. No, you've never had sexual relations with anyone. Or you've never even seen a naked woman.
I've never seen a naked woman. Not even in a magazine.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know what the female body looks like.
Oh, you're in for a surprise. It's a treat.
That's what I hear.
It's a treat. Yeah.
That's what I hear.
You're like a Tim Tebow.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Make a wish.
That's right.
Yeah.
And with that, we are going to close this puppy down. That's right. Everyone, I hope that this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. Hope you have a wonderful evening. Thanks for listening to the Season 15 premiere. I will see you again in 2 weeks.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe.